Drive to right field down the line, and that is a fair ball. Here comes a winning run. LeCastro scores, and the Diamondbacks have walked off the Astros.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball channel. This is Eric, and today I'm going to talk a little bit of Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that I was pretty high on going into 2020. I thought that lineup was absolutely loaded. They just signed Madison Bumgarner. They just signed Starling Marte. They just signed Cole Calhoun. They were going in there with a powerful lineup, with a good-looking rotation, with a good bullpen. They had signed several arms for the bullpen, including Junior Guerra. They still had Archie Bradley. I mean, everything was looking good. I thought they looked great. I picked them to win a wild card. How wrong I was. The team finished in the cellar. They were absolutely terrible, and it's like most of the guys who had great 2019s did not repeat anything close to that in 2020, and Madison Bumgarner got completely lit up. His velocity went down. Eduardo Escobar struggled. Other guys struggled. A few guys were good. There were some bright spots like Zac Gallen and Cole Calhoun, but other than that, that was a rough season that led to the D-backs trading away Starling Marte, see ya. Archie Bradley, see ya. And they were basically saying, yeah, well, obviously this is not going to be our year. And so far in the offseason, the Diamondbacks, they haven't been very busy. It's been very quiet, but they have added a few guys as of recently, including Tyler Clippard. And this is breaking news right now. Tyler Clippard is reportedly in an agreement with the Diamondbacks to sign with them and pitch out of that bullpen. Contract should be worth about $2.25 million with an option for another season for 22. And this is a guy with a career 3.13 ERA. He has been a closer in the past. He has been on the D-backs back in 2016. And he has had a very, very impressive career. Very consistent. Always with that ERA around 3. Sometimes under, sometimes a little over, but right there. I mean, he's just a very solid arm. Tyler Clippard, he is a little bit older. I mean, obviously he's a veteran, and, you know, with these older guys, you never know. Any point they could start to decline, and that includes JOAKIM SORIA, another reliever that they signed, former Royals closer. He had a 2.82 ERA for the A's last season. So JOAKIM SORIA, an old name who just always around and always pitching well. Not always, but usually pitching pretty well wherever he's at. So JOAKIM SORIA, another very interesting signing right there. And those are two names that they kind of had. They had to get somebody for that bullpen after, you know, losing so many good bullpen pieces. So at least they got that. And they also signed Asdrubal Cabrera, former Washington National, and Cabrera, a guy who could play multiple infield positions. He can start at second, at third, first, short, whatever, and a decent bat, you know, decent bat. He knows how to handle the bat, put the bat on the ball, so not a terrible signing there. All three of these guys, veterans, been around since 2007. All three of these guys potentially could have terrible years, but potentially could help the team. So, you know, not bad for, you know, decent money to sign those guys. Other than that, Ryan Buckner's the guy who's been good pretty much out of the bullpen for his career. He was with the Angels. He was with the A's. Very solid relief pitcher. I don't really understand why he had to settle for a minor league deal, but I think Ryan Buckner's got a great chance to make the team. Other than that, a couple of former Giants, Carlos Navas, good arm in the minor leagues for the Giants. Ryder Jones was a big prospect at one time, big powerful guy, couldn't stay healthy. So maybe, you know, there could be something there. Trace Thompson, he was a big prospect for the White Sox and just kind of washed out of the big leagues, never made it. Sticking around, hanging around though. Gotta love it that you're trying still. So Trace Thompson. But let's jump into some of the offensive players here. An example of a starting lineup for the Diamondbacks for 2021. And when I look at the lineup, it reminds me why I like this team so much. There's so much power here, so much potential. You got Ketel Marte, 2019 batting champ. Powerful guy who hit 30-something home runs. One of the big reasons I was hot on the D-backs going into 2020. And what did he do? He hit 2 home runs in 2020. He still hit the ball well to all fields. I mean, he's still got that great speed, a solid defense and everything, and he's still a good player. But what happened to the 32 bombs? I'm guessing he improves in 21. He's going to hit you at least 20 home runs. But, you know, I don't know. I can't say he's going to hit 30 again. We'll have to wait and see. Christian Walker's just a solid player. He's going to play a good defense. He's going to hit you 25 homers. He's going to hit at least 250. You know, he's not going to be a 180 guy. And, you know, hey, he may not make it to the Hall of Fame, but, you know, he's going to be good for you. David Peralta, very nice two-way talent. He won a Silver Slugger in 18. Then he won a Gold Glove in 19. Doesn't walk much, but he hit over 300 in 2020, and he has hit 30 home runs in his last full season. So you got a bunch of power threats here at the start of this lineup, and it doesn't slow down there with Eduardo Escobar. He had a massive 2019. He crushed 32 bombs, had 118 RBI, but then he fell flat in 2020 with just a 212 average, 4 home runs in over 200 at-bats. And at 32 years old, potentially he should be better in 21, but don't expect 118 RBI again, although it could happen, but I wouldn't expect that. Cole Calhoun continues to crush the ball. He's one guy who did continue to crush the ball. Strong defense and a very nice signing. He was one guy that kind of worked out for the D-backs, and they're hanging on to him. He hit 16 home runs in the shortened season, finishing 3rd in the National League. And then you got Nick Ahmed, usually kind of known as a Gold Glove defender, but, you know, sort of a weak hitter, but he's actually not that bad. He hit 19 home runs in 2019 and hit 266 last year with a 327 on base, which was a career high. So you got that going. And then Dalton Varsho should be in line to be the center fielder. Was a catcher, but his speed and his athleticism are just above average at least. He can steal bases, he can run, he can play defense, and they, the D-backs said, let's throw this guy out in center field. And it seems to be working out pretty well. We'll see, though, over the full season. But this is a guy who's got good bat speed and could potentially become another power hitter in that lineup. Carson Kelly, that's another guy who showed a drop in production in 2020 after he hit 18 home runs in 19. And you also have Stephen Volk, the backup, who also struggled in 2020 as compared to his 2019. That was the story of this team in 2020. A lot of guys who tore it up in 19, they came out in 2020, and it wasn't like they just declined a little bit. I mean, they just were nothing close to their 2019 versions of themselves, and that was a big issue. There are some nice options off the bench like Tim Locastro. Guy can get on base like it's nobody's business. Great bat-to-ball skills. Great bat-ball-to-body skills. He can get hit by the pitch, get on base any way he can. Like I said, Asdrubal Cabrera can play different positions, and, some okay options, but, nothing spectacular. Just an okay bench, not very great. But you know what? This team, I mean, the lineup looks impressive as it did going into 2020 when you consider the 2019 stats. But now everyone's 2 years older, and they're a year removed from an awful year for most of them, not all, but most, and they're going to need to bounce back. They're Diamondbacks, if they want any chance of having a decent year, going to need guys like Escobar to bounce back and Ketel Marte to find a little more power than 2 home runs. It's going to have to happen. But, based on the 2020 season we just saw, this lineup isn't as scary as it should be, but based on 2019, it is. And based on the fact that this lineup potentially could average 20 home runs per, I got to give it a decent grade. I mean, I really like this lineup. So, because of 2020, I'm not going to give it an A or anything, but I am going to give it a B-. I do think there's a lot of power potential. I like Varsho, and I'm going to give it a B-. Maybe that's overly generous, but, I would have gave it an A year ago. So B- for now. Now for the rotation, and it actually doesn't look bad on paper. You see some names that pop there, but upon deeper inspection, obviously some major issues. Now, Zac Gallen was great. 2.78 ERA in 2020, averaged 10.5 strikeouts per 9. He would have been an all-star if there was an all-star game, and he's got that fastball with impressive movement. The breaking pitch, it's tough to barrel him up. He's good. So I think he's going to continue to be good. MadBum. That's the big thing, right? Madison Bumgarner, and it's someone I'll be rooting for even in a D-backs uniform because I'm a huge fan. And, his drop in velocity was hard to watch, and he got shelled to the tune of a 6.48 ERA over the full season. It was actually worse than that. He improved that ERA and a 1-4 record in 9 starts. He gave up 13 home runs in 42 innings. And the good news is, like I said, after he went on the injury list for a bad back, he came off, he looked way better, night and day. So I do remember that, and I think that because of that little sign that he should be better in 2021. I can't say the D-backs are not going to regret this contract. I can't say that they're going to get vintage 2014 Bumgarner, but he should be better. Then you got Caleb Smith. Nice high spin fastball. He pitched well. He only gave up a few runs, but 2.57 ERA might be a little misleading since it was only 14 innings of work, with the Marlins and the Diamondbacks, and he gave up 3 home runs and 12 walks in just those 14 innings. So a better sample size might be 2019. He was 10-11 with a 4.52 ERA. Still decent. He still only gave up 128 hits and 153 innings, but he does give up a lot of fly balls, many of which are caught, but many of which go over the fence and are caught by a fan. If he's healthy, he's serviceable. I don't think he's going to be, have this sparkling ERA over a full season. Could be wrong, but, Caleb Smith will be serviceable. Luke Weaver, another guy who gives up the long ball. This is becoming a trend, and it's not good because a lot of long balls are given up by this rotation recently. And Luke Weaver gave up 10 home runs in 52 innings in 2020 with a horrifying record of 1-9 and a 6.58 ERA. But he's only 27. He's certainly a candidate for a bounce back season. And if he can slow down on giving up the big flies, that would be nice. Merrill Kelly might be the best option here other than Zac Gallen, just based on results, because he was 3-2, 2.59 ERA, nice low to mid-90s fastball, nice mix of cutters and breaking stuff, and he hits his spots. He doesn't walk a ton of guys, and I think he's in line for a decent 2021. I don't think he's going to be in the All-Star game necessarily, but I think he's going to be pretty good. And then you've got lefty Alex Young, another option, but again, he hasn't really shown anything spectacular, serviceable, not going to blow you away, but hey, he's there as well. And so, I'm fairly certain most DBacks fans are a little bit concerned about this rotation. Realistic fans are, but so much rides on, what Bumgarner is going to bring. Can he bounce back? Can he get this fastball back to the 90s? Is Zac Gallen, is his 2020 legit, or is he going to have a terrible season? I don't think so. I think Zac Gallen is the real deal. And I think Bumgarner will be better. After that, the rest of the rotation, if healthy, it's serviceable. Serviceable, not great. Not great. I'm going to give this rotation, out of respect for MadBum, I can't give it a very good grade, but out of respect for MadBum, I'm going to give it a C-. Finally, the bullpen for the Diamondbacks. Obviously, you had the departure of Archie Bradley, but it didn't hurt as much as maybe you thought it would. You have Stephen Crichton. He stepped up to the plate, or the mound. It's just an expression, but, it could be confusing in the context. Crichton stepped up to the mound, and he converted all 5 of his save opportunities. So, he's more of a ground ball pitcher, though, than a strikeout guy. So, I think he'll have some competition for that closer role in 21. You got JOAKIM SORIA now. You got Tyler Clippard now. Like I said, big signings there. If healthy, they got a guy named Kevin Ginkel who has great stuff. And I do not believe his 6.75 ERA in 2020 is going to be a lot better if given the opportunity in 21. Speaking of not believing ERAs, former Giants prospect Kirimeya. Okay, this dude had a 1.8 ERA in 2020, and that's what happens with a 10-inning sample size. But this dude is legit. Trust me, he is a solid option out of the pen. And then you also got another former Giant, Travis Bergen, good-looking lefty, nice curve, low 90s heat. Diamondbacks got a ton of Giants, a ton of ex-Giants. But if there's one guy who I'd pick for a breakout year, it's Taylor Widener, who throws heat. He's got strikeout stuff. He's only got 20 innings of big league experience. He could be someone who has a big season out of that pen. But overall, some nice options, but it's definitely lacking some definite shutdown arms in their prime. You got guys like Clippard and SORIA, a little bit older guys, but, have been decent recently. And those signings are big after losing not just Bradley, but like I said, Junior Guerra as well. So the D-backs did well to replace them with some recognizable names, but overall, it could be really good. It could be not so good. It just kind of depends on a lot of these young arms and a lot of these older arms. But overall, I'm going to give it a C. I think that's about fair for this bullpen. So that does it for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are, they're kind of in line for another rough 2020, barring lots of good luck and barring maybe a few miracles. Anything can happen in this game, and like most teams, best case scenario, this team could be really good. It really could. I mean, if you have guys like Zac Gallen, who builds on last season and he's even better, MadBum rebounding, having a nice year, Marte and Escobar crushing 30-plus home runs, and other guys in that lineup crushing a bunch of homers. If everything goes perfectly, this team could surprise. But most likely, going to be fighting for 3rd place and 4th place with the Giants and the Rockies. That's kind of the most likely scenario, but most likely does not always happen in baseball. So Diamondbacks, keep your heads up. I think you have a decent team, not a great team. I'm going to give this team a C+ overall. Like I said, I don't think they're an F or a D team. I just don't think that, but obviously not as great as I thought they were going into 2020. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Have a fantastic day. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that thumbs up button. And we're going to talk to you next time. See ya! When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. Every time the chips are down, at Oracle Park.